it's a real honor to have Gage here tonight. So please join me in welcoming Gage McKinney.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. It's an honor to be here. And I especially want to thank the booksellers for being the sponsor of this event, and Foothill Flowers for hosting it, and all of you for turning out for it. We all know that in the late 1920s, the economy of the United States was not built upon a sure foundation of investment, production, and return, but built upon a sort of honeycomb of expectation, credit, and excitement. And it all came crashing down in a Niagara Falls of liquidation 80 years ago this month. And the impact on the country was devastating. Industrial activity in San Francisco declined by 38%. In Los Angeles, it was 40%. Across the country, it was 48%. The stock market between 1929 and 1932 lost 78% of its value. And this devastation across this country, and in fact around the world as it was going on, Nevada County was saved. And this book is the story about how Nevada County and this region called the Northern Mines was saved by the Great Depression. There's a cast of hundreds, maybe thousands, in the book whose stories and lives shaped this region during those times and created the history that we can now explore and read and study together. One of those people, and many of you have heard of him before, was a man named Errol McBoyle. And Mr. McBoyle, when his story is told, it's often with very broad strokes along the line that a nice young man happened into town, bought himself a gold mine at the right time out of good luck, and became fabulously rich. In fact, Mr. McBoyle came to this area when he was a student in mining engineering at the university at Berkeley, and began working at the North Star mine. And he later did graduate work at Columbia University in geology, did some time overseas as a mining engineer, but just enough time overseas to know that the place where he really wanted to be was Grass Valley. And so he came here and he got himself a job with the Mining Bureau of the state of California, touring all of the mines in the northern mine region and writing a report about what he found. And during the course of writing that book, before and during the First World War, he became focused upon the Idaho-Maryland mine. And it was a mine that his mentor, George Starr of the Empire, assured him would pay very well the deeper it went. Mr. McBoyle was a handsome young man with a good tennis stroke, very lovely manners. He was the kind of young man that Mary Halleck Foote at the North Star mine, the superintendent's wife, invited to tea, and that Libby Starr at the Empire mine invited to a dance when she put on a dance for the young people in town. He didn't have any money, but he had a plan for getting a hold of the Idaho-Maryland mine, and that was to buy all the properties surrounding the mine, which he assiduously worked at, mining up buying up leases and options on all the properties around it, with the help of a network of scouts and agents and friends and informants who included Dr. Jones, Dr. Carl Jones, a prominent medical man here who was involved with McBoyle in many ventures, and a local surveyor named Tom McGuire, who was a classmate of McBoyle's at Cal. And slowly he acquired these properties, and in 1919, he was able to buy a lease, to buy options on the Idaho, Maryland itself. He still had no money. He had to bring in outside investors. He became the consulting engineer, in his words, the consulting engineer who was never consulted. He suffered through that regime for a period of years. Finally, in 1926, he took control of the mine himself with his small group of what he called deserving engineers, a few loyal investors, mostly with engineering backgrounds, all of them very well acquainted with this area. And McBoyle and his wife lived in a leaky shack at Union Hill, just a few miles out of Grass Valley. And he had credit at the grocery stores in town, and eventually he had credit at one Chinese grocery, having exhausted his resources everywhere else. And his wife said everyone told them they were crazy to believe in a gold mine, but Errol McBoyle never doubted. At Christmas 1927, they struck the lead that they were trying to find, the rich Eureka, Idaho lead. They lost it for a time after that. The story was told in some detail in the Saturday Evening Post magazine, how McBoyle said when they lost the lead, we'll find it 50 feet in that direction. And so the miners were underground drilling and blasting and drilling and blasting. They got to 50 feet and they didn't find anything. But the old saying in the Grass Valley district was, one more round. You always fire one more round. So they went through 50 feet and 55 feet. At 60 feet, they found the lead, and with every blast, it was bigger and wider and richer. And that's how Errol McBoyle, the man who never had any money, came into a whole lot of money and retained his nice manners and his generosity and became a real asset to this town. Part of the reason McBoyle had no money, even after he got a hold of the mine, was that in the 1920s, no one wanted to invest in gold mining. All the investment money went into copper mining, which was allied with the new industries, what people called the new economy, that was going to change the face of everything. And that involved radio and electrical appliances and telephones. And so copper mining was where the mining investment money went. And then, of course, there was the market itself. And that's where the money went. And that's why McBoyle could not raise any. Now, he was able to raise plenty after the crash of 1929, but by then, fortunately for him, he had his own money. When the market crashed in 1929, the country didn't know how bad of shape it was in. And it took a few months for it to register with people. And Mr. Kenyon, the local editor of the Grass Valley Union, went to San Francisco on a trip and came back and reported how bad things were, how long the lines were, people waiting, trying to get jobs, how little industrial activity there was.